Morning. How is everyone? Good morning. Welcome to our Rising Leaders info session. We always kick things off by having some fun in the chat. So if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself in the chat, put in your name and organization. And we have an icebreaker today, which is tell us one trait you think all leaders should have. And if you want to say hello and come off of mute or come on camera, feel free to do that as well. I'll get us started.
Start. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Mhm.
Sorry, my computer is like acting up because we usually don't use Zoom, so it's always interesting. But no, my name is Jason Monroy. I'm with Pepco Holdings. Um, what was the question introduction where I work in one trait any leader should have?
Yes, all leaders. What's one trait you think all leaders should have? Yep.
Yep. I mean, I think one of the main um, traits I've seen throughout the leadership that I've had is in one word, it would be probably patience in a sense, but I guess it expands a little bit more to like not only like patience could also be the fact that they're willing to teach you something or willing to, walk with you throughout your path.
Yep. It's a great one. Let me know if anyone's having. Oh, okay. I see Chris. Hi, good morning, Chris. One trait you think is compassion. Yep, that's a good trait. I was gonna put inflexibility. And for anyone who just joined us, I think we had a couple more people join us in the chat. We are putting in our name, our organization, and what's one trait we think all leaders should have. Charlotte says curiosity. That is great. Jason says humility. Ronnie says forward thinking. Alexis says empathy. Kalisha, I think I'm saying it right, says integrity. Super important.
Can I just ask real quick? I see there's a Firefly note-taking app for Clay. Is that someone's note taker who's in the room with us right now, or is that no? Okay, I'm gonna kick them out. Sorry. Where'd they go?
Awesome. Well, we're at 3 minutes after time, so I think this is a good place for us to start. Mostly everyone is here. So I will go ahead and kick it over to Doug.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this Rising Leaders Information Session. I'm Doug Duncan. I'm the President and CEO of Leadership Greater Washington. I've been here for, 12 years now. It's been a while. So, anyway, Leadership Greater Washington is the region's premier leadership incubator. We bring leaders together, give them a structure and a setting to learn from each other, to grow with each other, and to help solve the region's challenges. We were started in 1986. So we're entering our 40th year now. So we've been around for a while. And then the main thing we do is we have a signature program that brings top regional leaders together 1 day a month, teaching about the region, get them to know each other, get them to bond with each other, and then go out and do good things for the region in conjunction with the other 2,000 members who've already been through the program. We have about 50 to 60 leaders every year in our class. And then about 13 years ago, we started the Rising Leaders program. We had comments from our members and others that they were looking for some way to train their up-and-coming leaders in the social skills and to give them some professional development training. So we developed that program. Mary Abijay, who I'm going to introduce in a second, developed that program, and it's been running successfully ever since. It is our highest rated program. So we're very proud of that. We're very proud of Mary and CareerStone Group for everything they've done for us. And let me now ask the members of the staff to introduce themselves. You'll be seeing us off and on during the year if you do the program. I would highly encourage you to register for this program. It's as I said, it's our highest rated program. It's really something that changes people. It builds your confidence. It makes you a better leader in and around. And I loved all the traits that you all put up for leaders. I think if you put them all together, you'd have a great leader. The only one I would add is vision. I think vision is important for leaders as well, to be able to look towards the future and see where we need to go. So anyway, if I could ask Emeka to start and have the staff introduce themselves, that would be great.
Sure. Waiting for the spotlight change, or maybe just no spotlight.
There you go.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Emeka Abe, Senior Director of Programs with Leadership Greater Washington. I've been with the organization as a staff member for the last few years and was a member of the Signature Program class of 2021. And because Doug added, I'm going to add a leadership trait, which is curiosity. I think that's an important human trait, but especially for leaders to remain curious and open and learning. So, and I will pass it to Shayla.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Shayla Hines Graham. I'm the Director of Development and Engagement at LGW. I started with the organization in July, so it's been a great few months so far. And what I've seen with the Rising Leaders program has been quite amazing. And my word would be honesty. And I'll pass it to Kira.
Thanks, Shayla. Good morning, everyone. I am Dr. Kiera A. Adams, the newest kid on the block here. I've been around since August, but officially since October, and I'm working in member services. So I am a high-touch person that would work directly with each of you once you come aboard and eventually become members of ours after the cohort. My word that I would add is, well, I want to do a dual header: strategic thinking and empathy. I think that when you are working in the business of people, you're leading a flock, you need to be empathetic to their needs and the people that you're working with and for, but you also need to have a level of thinking that will couple with the vision, like Doug said, that will keep you all going and have strategy as you move forward. Thank you. I'll pass the mic to Jasmine.
You're on mute, Jasmine.
You're on mute, Jasmine.
I thought I hit that button. I guess I did not. Good morning, everyone. My name is Jasmine Pendergrass. I'm LGW's Events and Program Manager. I have been with LGW for a little over 2.5 years. I work alongside Emeka, and I will be your main point of contact if you decide to join us for this cohort. So you'll hear and see a lot of me. And I will pass it over to the last team member, which is
Me. Hi, I'm George Perry, Leader Communications Manager. I'm, after Doug, the oldest kid on the block. I've been here since 2021, did Rising Leaders in 2022. My word is, well, Kara stole my word. I'm still going to say it would be empathy. And you got 2 words, Kara. So I'm stealing empathy.
I'll share.
Well, thank you, staff, for that, and welcome again, everyone. Thank you for your interest in the Rising Leaders program. Let me now introduce Mary Abijay, the founder and CEO of CareerStone Group, which runs the program for us. They created the program several years ago, and Mary is an important part of LGW's history. She's a former board chair, done an awful lot of things for us over the years, so we're thrilled that she's here with us and thrilled that she's still presenting the Rising Leaders program. Mary, it's up to you.
Thank you, Doug. Good morning, everybody. I am super excited to be here today. I'm looking through the participant list, and we've got some pretty impressive people here. So thank you for joining us. And what I really want to know is I want to know all your bosses because many of them probably were part of LGW. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what the program is and what it isn't, and try to get you all excited about joining. But before I do that, I do want to have you put in the chat box, how did you hear about this program? What drew you here today? And if it's a person that told you, please name some names because it's always nice to know who is recommending us and how you heard about it. And if you heard about us through Google, that's cool too. So in the chat box, tell us how you heard about us. Joe Gardemel. Oh, I love Joe. Brianna do. I love her too. Michaela, yes. Oh, Monica Schmoody. We love Monica. This is great. Dan McCabe. I love this. Tamara, or is it Tamara? I get Tamara's and Tamara's mixed up, but we know her. She's fabulous. Tiffany Green. Oh, Sonia McCormick. Love her. Look at this is like Doug. This is like a trip through LGW, like greatest hits. These people are amazing. Jeffrey Germack, I love that. You must be um, um, Economic Club. Oh, LinkedIn via email, Kathleen. I love that. Valencia McClure, Karen Hoffman, Jasmine McCallum. I used to work for the Children's Museum many years ago. And if you join the program, I will tell you all about it. Well, this is great. We are so glad to have so many LGW member connections here today. So we're going to talk a little bit about the program now. And what I want to give you an overview of what we do. But before I do that, I do want to talk a little bit about when we talk about leadership development, what we're really talking about is self-development. So when we look at all the words that you chose as one character, one characteristic, one quality of a leader, you chose words like compassion, flexibility, patience, curiosity, humility, innovation, forward thinking, empathy, integrity, accountability, responsibility, optimism, open to different points of view, transparency, strategic thinking. 99% of these qualities are really around emotional intelligence. It's not so much that you need the skills in terms of being good at your job. It's about developing you as people, as leaders, with some of the essential skills that you'll be using as leaders. If I had to choose a word, I would probably choose self-awareness. It's really important, I think, for leaders to become very self-aware, not only of who they are as leaders, but as about their impact on the people around them. And so much of this class is going to help you have a positive and productive impact on the people around you, above you, below you, and across from you. And we're going to teach you some communication skills, some strategic skills, some sensibilities to help you really step into that leadership position, no matter where you are leading from. So the way the course is set up, the program is set up, is the first class is, about self-awareness. And that's we use the DISC profile. And I know many of you probably have already done the DISC, but we use the DISC profile as sort of a way to kind of recenter ourselves around our preferences, our priorities, how we like to work, and also how we may be impacting other people for better and for worse. So we really anchor this in starting to self-awareness. We also use this tool to help really build cohort. So it's a very fun session. It's very high energy. And you will walk away from this session knowing a lot more about yourself and a little bit more about the people with whom you are in this cohort for. The next session, probably one of my favorites, is networking and personal branding. This is about becoming very clear about how to build good relationships both within and outside of your organization. So we cover some ideas around networking to help you really make sure you are building a strong, robust network. And we spend a lot of time talking about personal branding because you know what? Y'all have a personal brand, but are you intentional about your brand? Are you intentional about the professional image that you are putting forth? So this is a fun session as well and one of my favorites. Session 3 is a hardcore skill building session. And this is really about creating a culture of feedback. One of the most important things you can do as a leader, as a manager, as a supervisor, as a colleague, is to be able to give give and receive feedback to other people. Kristen and I, who I'll introduce in a moment, at Career Stone Group, we do, in addition to training and professional development, we also do a lot of consulting with organizations. And we're often called in to fix something that's broken or to help solve a difficult dynamic. And 90% of the time, this difficult dynamic was caused because somebody didn't give feedback to somebody else in a timely and effective fashion. So we'll spend this session really making sure that you are really strongly anchored in solid skills around giving and receiving feedback to other people. Session 4, also one of my favorites, I think all of these are my favorites, is presentation skills. So some of you, in a minute I say that, are going, oh my God, no, no, no. Others might be really excited. So this really is about like helping you really develop those public speaking skills, those presentation skills, so that it allows you to get up in front of other people, whether it's 5 people or 5,000 people, and present with purpose, power, and a little bit of passion. So and by the way, you get taped. It's all really fun. We practice a bunch of skills. And then the last session, again, one of my favorites, is called Managing Up. So we spend the first 4 sessions really helping you like learn how to lead downward. But this last session is really about making sure you remember how to lead upward. And for those of you who may not know, I probably should have had this prop ready. We will be using and you'll be receiving my book, Managing Up. See, that's a little shameless self-promotion, but we really will talk with you about like how you make sure that you are building those productive and positive working relationships with the people above you in the food chain so that you can succeed, they can succeed, and your organizations can succeed. It's a skill that we need to use for our entire life. And then, of course, we have a little graduation ceremony where we invite your supervisors, your bosses, your leaders to come, and you will give a little presentation, each of you, at the graduation. And then, of course, there's drinks and snacks, and it's super fun. So that's the program. The program, each of these sessions start at noon with a lunch, and the lunch is actually pretty good, people. And program day concludes at 5, and then there's always a happy hour that Jasmine sets up somewhere near the organization. When I really encourage you all to come for the lunch and come for the happy hour. While the sessions themselves are really about building your skills and sensibilities as leaders, the lunchtime and the happy hour time is really giving you an extra opportunity to build cohort and build relationships with the people around you. We usually have a really diverse group of individuals and organizations. And one of the things that so many people really value about this program, besides, of course, the amazing content, is the relationships that they build and the people that they meet. So really, it's a twofer for you to attend this program. The goals and outcomes of the program, as I said, are really about building your skills, giving you confidence, giving you some experience around the different essential qualities and sensibilities that leaders need to have in the 21st century. I want to talk a little bit about the format. Unlike right now, we're just not going to be talking at you during this program. It's highly, highly, highly super interactive. So maybe we give you a concept for like 10 minutes, and then there's an activity or some sort of interaction that you all are doing, whether it's a role play, whether it's a table talk, whether it's a group activity. So that's the way we like to do it, very interactive. All of our training is built around adult learning theory, and adults learn best by interacting. So it's not going to be sage on the stage. It's not going to be like I'm doing now, just talking at you. So it's going to be very interactive. It's also going to be fun because Kristen and I know from research that people learn more when it's fun, when they're enjoying themselves. We try to make it as enjoyable as possible. We don't take ourselves super seriously. We take our responsibility to serve you in this program seriously, but we don't take ourselves seriously. And that is basically, I think, my spiel about the content. If you have any questions about what we cover, what we don't cover, you can put them in the chat box. And I think now I want you to hear from the amazing main facilitator. I'm going to be dropping in the program here and there. I think I'm doing your first session and I'm doing your last session, but you'll be mostly led by an amazing facilitator whom I'm going to introduce to you right now, named Kristen Shattuck. Kristen is Career Stone's Director of Training and Facilitation. She is the most Merake, no, there is no online option. We are keeping everything in person. And because it's so interactive, we're not doing hybrid either. So it's really a program that is really meant to be done in person together. But that's a great question. Now, there might be, if there's some terrible snow day or something terrible and we have to move online, we might do that. But no, it's going to be all in person. But thanks for asking. All right, so I'm going to introduce you to Kristen Shattuck. Kristen Shattuck is the most creative. She is just an amazing facilitator, and she's going to be your kind of guide throughout the whole program. So, Kristen, come on stage.
Thank you so much, Mary. Mary's a tough act to follow, as I'm sure you can imagine, but thanks for that introduction. I will say that it's very nice to work for someone that, as you see all the characteristics that you want in a leader, you see them popping up in the chat. So thanks, Mary. I always say Mary makes my job really easy because everybody loves her. And so she attracts clients that are very lovable. So, and that is very true for Leadership Greater Washington. So I am delighted to be online with you today. And I'm very excited that I get to lead this portion, which is really all about the people of the Rising Leaders program. So I've had the great good fortune to work with the Rising Leaders program since 2019, and it is a true delight. Every single cohort, I'm always like, oh, they can't be any good. The last one was the best we could possibly have ever had. And then along comes a new group of folks who really enjoy learning together. I think I would just echo what other folks have said is that, like most things in life, you get out of it what you put into it. And so, it's really not just about the programming piece. That is, of course, an important point of it. But I love our bookends of networking and socializing. And it's really, my favorite part is watching the cohort really coalesce, really learn from each other, become friends, become friendly, and become, really important parts of one another's professional network. So to that end, I am very delighted to introduce to you the wonderful Deidre Hardware. Deidre completed the Rising Leaders program in 2024. So I will, we're going to have a little Q&A here. So Deidre, tell us a little bit about yourself and your work.
So, hi, like you said, my name is Deidre Hardware. I am currently Director of Nursing at MedStar Washington Hospital Center at a cardiac observation unit. I completed the Rising Leader program spring 2024, and it's really been a meaningful part of my leadership journey.
Amazing. So tell us a little bit about, what attracted you to the Rising Leaders program? Like, what brought you to our info session? What were you kind of looking for? What was, kind of what was interesting in terms of where you were as a leader and where you wanted to go?
So I didn't do an info session. It was actually my senior nursing director at our midpoint, because I think I started in February, and our midpoints were like December going into January. And I mentioned wanting to do something that was more intentional about my growth, just not as a nurse or a nursing director, but me as a leader. And so she said, I'll keep an ear out if I hear anything coming up. And then one night she sent me an email. She was like, hey, look up this program. I think we can sponsor you for it. So I was kind of going in a little bit blind, but I am so glad I took the opportunity.
Amazing. Well, can you tell us a little bit about maybe some highlights of the experience, maybe a session or an activity that you felt had some impact on you sort of in the immediate and long term?
Okay, so I'm sorry from anybody from Rising Leaders that has heard me say this a million times. My favorite catchphrase is intent versus impact, and I think I use it every day. It's just kind of stuck with me in what I do every day, because I know what I want to say and I know what I want people to get out of it. But I've learned my words, my tone, my body language, all that has so much impact on the person receiving the message. And it was in one of our sessions and it really stuck with me. Another thing that I took back from it was doing work on self-reflection. I really want to push myself about my leadership style, how I'm managing up and managing down. The work I do every day is pretty important. And I think for most people in Rising Leaders and people that are interested in it, you're good at your job. You know what you're doing every day, right? That's why you are where you are. But I think refining those skills that make you a better leader and to be able to be successful for your team really stood out to me and has been beneficial. Plus, I love my cohort. You said everyone can be, I don't think anybody's better than us.
That's true. That's true.
I have made connections that have become friends. It's 2 years now, and we still keep in contact. We do newsletters. We have our WhatsApp chat. So I really appreciate the connections that I've made through Rising Leaders.
Amazing. I'm glad to hear that. And I would say too, you remind me of the word I would use for what I like in a leader, which is a learner, right? Someone who's committed, dedicated to, not just learning your specific technical skill, but learning your craft. Who are you as a leader? How are you growing and changing? How are your people growing and changing? And, how can you adjust to, the different things that are going on throughout your career. So it's great to hear you say that. I think that's something that I think is so much fun about and so meaningful and rewarding about the program is you do have like-minded people coming together from a variety of industries across the region that are really dedicated to that vulnerability, self-growth, putting themselves out there, learning some new things. So I'm glad to hear that kind of echoed in your remarks. And so maybe to that end, what advice do you have or recommendations do you have for how folks can take the most advantage of the Rising Leaders program and LGW maybe as a whole?
I first think people need to be open and honest to know what they want to get out the program. You guys give us so much information, but you only get what you put into it. So go in with an open mind, like kind of leaning into that discomfort a little bit. I am not by nature the first person to raise my hand in areas where where I'm not totally confident or think I have all the answers, but kind of like participating, sitting with people you don't necessarily know. So I'm from MedStar, and MedStar had a huge group. So it was fun to kind of like separate from the people that I already knew and really just going in with an open mind and kind of knowing what you want to accomplish or what you want to learn. Because it's a lot of valuable content there and you really have to go in with an open mind. And it's an investment in yourself. You really need to take advantage of that. It's kind of like a once in a lifetime.
Amazing. Thank you. That's so helpful to hear. And I'm imagining that you've inspired maybe some questions in our participants here. So I'd love to know what questions do you all have for Deidre? So you have someone here who's been through the program recently. We are all ears. Would love to know what questions you have for Deidre and the program.
You can also write them in the chat if you don't want to come off of mute. That's fine as well.
Yes, thanks,
I can
Jasmine.
ask a question.
Great.
Hi, I'm Alexis from the International Spy Museum. Deidre, thank you so much for talking about your experience. This is so exciting. And pardon my nasally voice, I'm getting over a cold. But I think one thing, especially after seeing in the chat the diversity of experience and work that everyone's doing, can you talk a little bit about learning alongside people who all want to grow as leaders, but might be from very different backgrounds and industries? Can you talk a little bit about that?
So I really enjoyed that because I'm in healthcare. So I'm siloed to everybody that's in healthcare. But what I learned was we all have different specialties in different areas, but we're all dealing with people. We all are leading people in some way or some form. We're all managing projects. So I think there's skills that go across all of those domains. And when you get to the nitty gritty of it, these are fundamental skills that you're learning and they can be applied in many different areas. And also like listening to your cohort and things that they struggled with, it's kind of like, yeah, I deal with that too. I didn't think you'd have to deal with that as a CPA. That all these things are very common. We just are siloed. And it was really refreshing to hear that everybody kind of deals with the same discomforts because everybody has a boss. Everybody has people that report to them. So being able to refine those skills and even hearing how your other cohort members handle different situations was really helpful.
Great.
Thank you.
Great, great question, Alexis. Thank you, and thank you, Deidre. So, yeah, thanks for the question, Anthony. Mary was mentioning that the cohorts are intentionally. Maybe it sounds big, but it's pretty good size, I think. 25 to 35 people, again, across industry. Ronnie, thanks for this question. So, DJ, how do you believe this program has helped shape your career growth strategy?
It's made me be more intentional of who I am as a person, not a person and a leader. As far as strategy, Mary mentioned it, either making ourselves a brand. I am a nurse, I am a leader, but I'm also Deidre Hardware, and there's things that I want to portray as a person that have nothing to do with the institution that I work for. It's more me, and understand that we work for entities, but we are our own brand, and making sure that I make myself a well-rounded person. And moving forward, it just really revamped the way I see my career trajectory, where I see myself moving and going throughout life. And I think it might have a different impact on everybody, but that's what I took out of it.
All right. Thank you. John, I really appreciate this question. You know, we all deal with different people. Everybody has a boss. Mary talked about some of the components of like managing up. You know, how valuable, and I don't think this question necessarily, you're not responsible for it, DJ, but like, you know, what do we say for those folks? And we definitely have had self-employed people in our cohorts in the past. And I guess my quick answer, and then I'll turn it to Mary or any of the staff. I think to just reemphasize maybe what DJ just said about the personal brand and the networking, right? And just one, I think it's very valuable, especially for small business folks, to like, you know, kind of get the word out there. Who are you? Like, what do you do? How can you be even more plugged in to this like amazing network? I also think this idea of like personal branding, getting really clear on your values, how you want to communicate your values to customers, clients, you know, the community writ large. Those are great sessions for that too. Presentation skills really is kind of modified over the years because not everyone stands in front of a whole group and, you know, gives a large presentation. I would say it's more like presentation conduct, you know, so like, how do you make your remarks? How do you introduce yourself? How can you get really clear about how you want to convey the message of your organization, who you are as a leader, and what your organization brings to the community? Mary, anything you'd add?
Yeah, I would add, yeah. I mean, you know, I think every time you open your mouth in public, you are public speaking. So that's like when I think about that, like, because that's very true. I would say one thing, when I say you give a presentation at graduation, it's not to your boss. I kind of ran those sentences together. It's to like the group. It's like a 1 minute, 2 minute thing.
Thank you.
But I will say this around being self-employed and managing up. I am self-employed, and you know what? I have a lot of bosses, and those bosses are called my clients, and they're called my customers. So I think if anybody, like as a self-employed person, you know, I think you will get so much out of this program, even the managing up piece, because you start to think about, you know, I have to constantly adapt my approach, not my integrity, but like I've got to be able to read a customer or a client very quickly to understand how to really connect with them in a way that's still authentic. So that was how I would answer that question.
Thank you, Mary.
You're welcome, John.
Thanks, Mary. Yeah, and John, appreciate the additional context in the chat. Excellent. Deidre, I know we have one. Deidre, I know we have a question for you. It looks like for you specifically in the chat, but I think could be for anybody on this call, staff too, who've gone through the program. But Alex, let's go to you first. I see your hand raised. You're muted for me, Alex.
Sorry, there we go. I'm on my computer and phone separately.
Understand.
I think this is going to be more a question for LGW employees. I work for Maya Angelou Schools and Tea Forever Foundation. We provide non-traditional education with a focus on justice-involved youth. I'm an HR generalist, so I'm still very much in that early career category. So I'd love to know, like, how you ensure that the cohorts have a variety of people because that early career category can be so vast. I feel like you could be a director, or you could, you know, be a true manager and leader and stuff like that, but also kind of be more mid level as well. So if that
That's a great
makes
question.
sense.
Yeah, no, it's perfect. I totally understand. Yeah. So I do think we have that as an item to speak to when we talk a little bit more about the program, but I will open it up to staff if we want to address it now or just pent it to our next sort of segment. Totally up to you.
But I can just going to jump in here. But we do have, I mean, there is a range, but we've had people who are in their like second or third year of their career and people up to like 6 and 7 years in their career. So, so while it's really for rising and a few mid-level career, there we have a nice diversity in it, but it is boxed, and we'll talk about kind of the perfect thing in a moment.
Great.
Great.
Beyond 6 to 7 years in their career too, for sure.
I'm excited to meet everybody, but I'd also love to learn where, connect with people that are kind of more in line with where I am or where I want to be too. So.
Sure. No, that makes great sense. Let's go to, Chris had a question. DJ, for you, can you think of a moment in your professional life that you used your skills from Rising Leaders to either solve a problem or implement a new solution? So kind of what does that learning look like in action?
I'm going to go back to my favorite phrase, intent versus impact, and I think I use it every day. It's about like thinking before you speak. And one of my other things was the last session about managing up and like kind of managing down too, because I am in like a sandwich. I have people that report to me. I have managers that report to me, and I have a senior director that I report to. And so it was very enlightening when we went through how to manage up to your boss and what we look like as leaders to ourselves, to the people that directly report to us. And kind of we divided up into groups of things we did, whether it was micromanaging or being that laissez-faire manager. And it was kind of eye-opening to see the things that we do unintentionally that put us in these boxes. And that might not be the person that we want to be perceived as, but we're doing those characteristics that puts us in there. And so it's really made me self-aware of the things that I do and how that can characterize me as a leader. But I would say it's in my everyday operations. There's little tidbits that you take away that solidify with you as a person. Well, this is for me personally, and it's just become a part of my everyday practice.
Amazing. Thank you. Thanks, DJ. So I think we're going to just kind of please keep any questions that you have for DJ or about the program or the participants. Please keep putting those in the chat. We want to get to every single question that you have. I do want to say a special thank you, DJ. Thank you so much for being here with us today. Thank you for representing your cohort and Rising Leaders so beautifully. I love seeing you again. And for that, I think it's time to I think I'm going to toss it over to Emeka. Emeka, can you talk us through some of the logistics of the program? And I noticed there are quite a few questions in the chat about logistics. So thanks for staying tuned while we get to those questions.
Awesome. Thanks, Kristen. So I'm going to share my screen briefly just to show you all. I think you have all found the website because that's how you registered for this info session. But just to make sure that you know, on our website here, lgwdc.org, if you go to programs and rising leaders, this has really good information about the program. It will be reiterating some of what we've shared on the info session today. You can see these drop downs have all the details. We've already done the info session. And then I'll talk about scholarships in a moment. And then there's this registration link here and also up here on the right that will take you to our registration program. So Rising Leaders is a first come, first serve program. So there's no application as long as you're able to commit to the program and pay the tuition fee, which is $32.50. We are really welcoming you into the program. We're happy to have you. So the registration form is fairly straightforward. It asks for your contact information, your employer information, and then a few questions about how did you hear about us? What are you looking for in this? So again, just noting that it does require payment upon registration. However, That being said, if you would like to pay through a different method, if you have a purchase order process or something like that through your work, or someone else is paying for your registration, please email us. I'm going to put it in the chat. So info@lgwdc.org, and we can work with you to make that happen. It's not a problem at all. We can send you the registration form without payment and get payment from you in a different way. So that's the website. A few other logistics to go through. So Mary referenced, we tend to get folks who are, I would say in the first half of their careers in this program. That being said, this is the content this content is evergreen. And so Career Stone Group, this is content that they present in the same way to people at all stages of their career. And as someone who is lucky enough in my job to get to witness and hear the content over and over again, I every time take something different away or have something reiterated that I need to remember or want to implement in a different way in my own life. So it is not limited. We don't limit the registration to any particular age group or career stage. And I think, Alex, going back to your question about, connecting with people that are in a similar place in your career as you, I think, again, there's been in each cohort somewhat of a range of folks who are individual contributors earlier in their career to folks who are, small business owners, middle managers. And so, while I don't know who yet is going to be making up this particular cohort, I do feel confident that there will be a range of folks in that way as well. I think the key qualities, though, of whoever registers is that you really are curious about yourself and you're wanting to develop your own leadership skills. That's what this is all about. And so Mary was saying how, from Career Stone Group as the facilitators, having fun is really important to them. And I would say also, we look for people that want to have fun in the program as well. And that can look very different for different people, but, folks that are excited about the opportunity, that will be leaning in, it just makes it a really great environment that we will be facilitating that environment, but also ask you all to show up with that expectation as well. One of the benefits, because I think, for all different size organizations, companies, there are different amounts and types of professional development that you may have access to. One of the real benefits of this program is actually doing it outside of your own workplace. So not only are you meeting, building relationships, networking with folks in different industries, different parts of the region, but you also have that freedom to not be with your coworkers, to not be, attached directly to your place of work. And so I think that's something that a lot of people find value in with this program is you get to focus on developing these skills, being really open and vulnerable and trying things, in a different way, in a safe environment, in a brave environment, one that you're not under sort of the eye of your company. Or like me, I've always worked in nonprofits. We never really had professional development resources within our company. So obviously that's a bonus as well. We will, for all of our participants, Jasmine mentioned, you will hear a lot from her. We try to be in really consistent communication throughout the program in terms of making sure you've got calendar holds with all the details of exactly where we're, what we're doing, what you need to prepare, what the follow-up is. We just ask that you really hold that time for those program days as best you can. And we will support you through the rest of the process of participation. We don't have a strict attendance policy. There's only 5 sessions for this program, right? Mary went over the curriculum. There's only 5 program days. And so I think this question came up about if you're going to miss a program day. So we don't do any sort of like makeup days or anything like that. We do share out the slides afterwards with the whole cohort. So if you miss a day, you will get some amount of content, although again, the participation and engaging with it is a key component of the program. I would say my recommendation is, if you know you're going to miss one program day, that's probably okay. You know, oftentimes people have something come up, right? Life keeps lifing. But if you know going into it that you're going to miss 2 or more program days, I would probably recommend that you wait to register at another session where you can attend, plan to attend all 5. Again, stuff comes up. So I think ideally you would be available for all 5 dates going into it, even if something might creep up. But if you have one conflict, I don't think that that's should prevent you from participating. Just know that, again, we won't be doing any sort of formal makeup of the content. It's also a good opportunity to connect with your cohort, to talk with them about how did it go, what did they learn, what was the experience, etc. I always recommend that as well. We've started bringing in some guest speakers as well during that 12 to 1 lunch hour. These are LGW members, typically alumni from our executive level signature program, talking about their careers, talking about leadership and lessons that they've learned, and are reflecting on opportunities for you all to meet folks from, again, different industries and backgrounds. We may or may not have a guest speaker every day, but this came from feedback from previous cohorts of wanting more connection to our executive leaders. And so it's really been a good opportunity to do that. Again, each one's been really different in format and in tenor, but that's something that we're happy to continue as well with this spring group. And then I did want to talk about scholarship support. So for the spring cohort, we do have a limited number of scholarships available for nonprofit leaders, so folks who work in nonprofit organizations. And there is an application, again, on that same page on our website, if you're seeking scholarship support. We really do, we have support this cohort from, okay, I'm gonna get the names right, the Richard E. and Nancy P. Marriott Foundation, who are making it possible for folks to have access to the program that may not be able to afford it, or their organizations may not be able to afford it. So that application process, let me show you that on the website as well. So again, on our main page here, if you go to scholarship information and application, there is a link. And you can see this one's a little bit more thorough in terms of learning about your organization. We do ask people to put in how much assistance is requested. You may have, some organizations we've heard from have had, let's say, a specific, we have $1,500 per person every year for professional development, so I need help supplementing that, et cetera. In one paragraph, describe how participation in this program will support your goals and your organization's mission, et cetera. So again, not overly long or complicated, but if you do intend to apply for scholarship support, you would just fill out the scholarship application, and then you don't need to fill out the registration form, if that makes sense. All right, last but not least, and I think this was referenced earlier, we have started a Rising Leaders membership program as well. And so Shayla Hines-Graham, who you met at the top of the call, is working with Deidre, among other Rising Leaders alumni, to really form a membership program that is responsive to the needs and interests of our Rising Leaders alumni. So again, at this point, we've got, I don't know what the number is, but more than 10 years of folks who have been through the Rising Leaders program and looking for ways to continue professional development opportunities, to continue connection building and networking amongst that group. And so once you go through the program, you have the opportunity to be a part of that membership and to stay connected to Leadership Greater Washington, to stay connected to your cohort, and to form new relationships with other rising leaders as well. All right, I think that's my spiel. So I'm looking at some other questions in the chat. A few questions about the program for me, anything that has percolated in your mind over the last hour, please feel free to put it in the chat, or you're welcome to raise your hand or come off mute. So John says, not for me, but for my previous professional history, how are environmental nonprofits represented in LGW? That's a good question. I would say we don't have very strong representation necessarily from environmental nonprofits. I think, in our greater membership of more than 2,000 people have been through our programs. There certainly are folks who work in environmental issues and sustainability, but it's not a particular area of great representation. Is there a good way to announce the possible scholarship to my old colleagues? Yeah, you're welcome to share it out. And also, if you have anybody specifically that you think we should reach out to, you're welcome to email that info@email address, and we're happy to send them more information as well. All right, thanks, Jasmine. Thanks, Mary. Can you quickly explain the difference between Rising Leaders and the Signature Program? Sure. So our Signature Program is for executive level leaders. So these are people with executive director, CEO, C-suite titles, executive vice president, those types of titles in their roles, or titles or roles. And that program is a 10-month application-based program. So it goes September to June every year. It is a competitive application-based program. So we typically accept about 50% of applicants into that cohort, which is about 60 people in that cohort. So it's a bigger group. The Signature Program is not professional development skills-based. It is about community and civic leadership. So it is taking executive level leaders and empowering them with knowledge and tools and relationships with important community issues for them to be empowered to make greater impact in our region. Our website has some more information. I can drop the link in the chat as well about our Signature Program. Again, Rising Leaders, as you know, it's really skills-based, smaller cohort, shorter time commitment. But that being said, they're both our programs, and we, as Leadership Greater Washington, are a regional organization. So they both attract leaders that are throughout Northern Virginia, DC, and suburban Maryland. I'm biased, but they both tend to attract really good people that care about their own learning and growth and care about the region in which we live. Other questions? These are good ones. All right, so I'm going to just put in the chat again the info@lgwdc.org email address. That does come right to us. It doesn't go through any AI bot or anything like that. So if you have any questions, you're always welcome to email that. Jasmine's put her email on the screen as well. Again, registration is first come, first serve. So we've filled up, I think, close to half of the cohort already. So we do have plenty of spots open, and there is a limit to the number because we do want to keep the cohort of a good size. So we do encourage you, as soon as you know this is something that you want to do and are able to commit to go ahead and register. Yeah, Kathleen.
Great. Thanks so much for the squeezing one in the final minutes. As somebody who is outside of the recommended age group and also in that bridge position where I'm very much not CEO or C-suite, but am solidly mid-career, what would you say to you spoke to this earlier when you said you in your role have continued to get value out of the program. Can you just speak a little bit more about kind of the representation of folks in that middle place looking to level up?
Yeah. Thanks, Kathleen. Yeah. So I would say, in addition to the content being applicable for everybody, at least for the last few years when I've been a part of the organization, I would say in each cohort we have a couple people that are sort of, I would say, mid to past mid career. And these are like often folks who are managers that are looking for additional skills for, this particular group that they're managing or this particular organization and its challenges. And there's really, we've never gotten any sort of negative feedback from that group. Again, there's no dumbing down of the content. There's no it's really evergreen. So that's what I would say. But Mary, what would you add to that?
I would say the same thing. I think it really depends on, we've showed the content. Like if you're already a skilled presenter, if you're already an ace at creating feedback, if you already really have a solid professional brand, then it may feel a little too much like a refresher for you. But if these are topics that you still want to grow in, even if you're mid-career, we've had a lot of people who are, as Emeka said, we were like, wow, you're a little past mid-career, but they were at their point in their career where they wanted to focus on these things, would be really helpful. So I would say, like, where is it that you want to grow in your career? Where is it that you want to relearn or refresh? And I think that would work. And as Emeka said, we've never had anybody who we thought might be too beyond this ever. They're usually the ones that love it the most. So that's what I would say. Yeah. Kristen, anything you would add?
I don't think so. I mean, I agree. I think it's really very much about like kind of your mindset, and I think the idea of we're already at different times for different like leadership experiences. So we've had very in terms of age, we've had very diverse cohorts. I feel like every year. So again, I think if the rising leader piece feels right for you, that's definitely a mindset thing. And this is a very appropriate, very helpful program.
I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Very encouraging. Thanks.
Other questions? We got a couple minutes. All right. Well, again, please follow up if something comes up that you think of. Jasmine will be following up with you all, including with the recording for this. So if you want to revisit it or share it with a friend or colleague, please do so. Thank you. Thank you all for your interest and attention and your time this morning. Really appreciate you and your commitment to yourself and your own learning and development and your interest in Leadership Greater Washington. So thank you all so much. I really appreciate it. Have a great day.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.